Hello, it's Media Center Ukraine Odessa. I'm glad to see you and know that you'll watch us online in YouTube or Facebook. You can also ask your questions using different messengers. If you scan QR code, which is on screen at the moment, you will be able to see the telephone number and send us the question you would like us to ask. Today our briefing is with Dragan Šormaz, ex-member of Parliament of Serbia, former member of the Parliamentary Committee of Defense and Security, and also head of delegation of NATO Parliamentary Assembly for 10 years. Dragan, hello, thanks for being with us.
Hello, I'm glad to be with you.
We are very glad to have you online. Protests in Serbia, especially in Belgrade. What's going on lastly? What are the news and what was the political context? Why it all started a few days ago?
All what we have is a mistake of opposition in Serbia, what happened today. Because Vučić won early elections in December, he had a big problem with Kosovo and big problem with economy and EU integration, relations with EU and United States of America. And he, because of Kosovo, especially because of Kosovo, he tried to, that agreement with Kosovo that we have, he tried to have early elections because in the now, you may see now, it happened today, yesterday, for example, everything what is agreed in that talks now must be implemented. For example, yesterday is finished with that license plates. Now everyone on Kosovo must have Kosovo license plates, not anymore Serbian license plates. I speak about plates for the cars, you know. And that was so big problem. It's ridiculous for me, but that was last couple of years was a big problem. And for example, in November in 2021, it was almost a fight, war, blockades. Serbs leave the Kosovo institutions because of plates. And now, 2 years later, everyone on Kosovo have Kosovo's license plates because of that agreement. And he don't prepare, and that's only one example. You have passports, you have, for example, education license and something else, or power, energy on Kosovo. It's now under the Pristina, not even part of that under the Belgrade and something. At the same, you have a lot of things in that agreement, and he is not prepared Serbian public for that. He always speaks that Kosovo is Serbia, that he will never bow his back, that he is always staying strong, and that they will never have nothing from that agreement. And then he make an agreement, and now it starts to implement. And that's the reason why he wants campaign. Campaign when he is gonna speak about everything else than the Kosovo. Second problem is sanctions to Russia, because, and that's without that we can't go to EU. That's clear. Everybody knows about that in Serbia. And he's strong-headed. He don't want to make that sanctions. Third reason is economy, and everything what he do because of that to hide that three points. That's the reason, and why in every normal country that will be problems for him in campaign, but not Serbia is not a normal country. Why Serbia is not a normal country? He poisoned the public in Serbia with Putin. And he is trying to create the same system of government, and for the same, if he wants that same system of government, and he cannot do like Putin does, because Serbia is surrounded with EU and NATO countries. Everyone is in NATO, and everyone is in EU or is candidate country like North Macedonia, Montenegro, and others. Albania and others. And for that same system of government, he must have the same system of values, and need the same system of values. That's the reason Vučić rule in Serbia with fear and with lie. And for spreading that, he needs televisions, TV stations, he needs media. And and that's the reason why I leave the party, because I'm a Democrat. In the last 10 years, step by step, he created this almost same system like in Russia. He controlled almost all medias in Serbia, especially electronic media, television stations. He don't control, if we speak about, 10 big television stations, he controls 8 of them. And that's the reason why people don't know about these problems. He always speak about successful economy in Serbia, and we have second inflation in Europe. Hungary and Serbia are the biggest food inflation in Europe. Your country is the terrible situation. You have a terrible war. You fight against war crimes, against crazy men on power, Putin, and you have a better economic situation than Serbia. It's ridiculous, but it's true. It's fact.
Dragan,
yes, we have some investments. From yes.
May I interrupt you just for a second? Just for me to keep it clear for our audience. So to solve the problems, or even to hide the problems, the new elections, not the elections which were to be held this year, but these elections were announced to establish. And after the elections were established and the party of Vučić actually had gained the majority of the voices, what happened next? Why the opposition? And you said the opposition made a mistake, which is a very interesting point. But why the opposition started these protests? What was the trigger? Why it happened?
Opposition made a mistake when opposition asked for him elections on early September. That's the mistake of the opposition, because on the spring he will be in much worse position after this happening on Kosovo, and after economy problems in country. He will be in much worse position in May or next summer. They make mistake because they go early, they ask early, too early for elections. That's first mistake. Second mistake, because they go on elections on his terms, without free media, without good democratic control of election process. And the result is, you say result on the elections, but that result is happened because nobody knows, I told you, nobody knows what happened in Serbia. Everyone listened to lies, and he make some, how I say that, he makes some irregular, it was not regular elections because he bring the voters from different kind of countries, from regional countries and something else. He make a pressure in public service on people to must take pictures on his votes and show that if they want to have a job still, or he will expel them from the jobs and something like that. And that's the reason why he had that result. Not because of his politics, but because of his manipulation and spreading the fear and lies among the people. That's the reason why you have that result on elections, and after that, opposition now try with protests to change the situation, but I don't think that will happen. It's so many mistakes of opposition before this. He will now stay the ground, and he will not go back. He will do everything what he needs to stay on this position what is now.
So let me rephrase what you said, just to be sure that I understood you correctly. Opposition called for elections, but as you say, the elections were held too early for them, and that is if it was held in spring or in summer, the situation could be worse politically, economically and politically for Vučić, and that could give them a possibility of winning the elections, or at least taking more seats in the parliament than they did due to elections. But now the protests, as you say, are going on. What do opposition demand? The clashes on the street, a few dozen people were arrested, students were even blocking the roads in Belgrade, as I read in the Balkan service of RFI reported about that. So what could be the development of the situation? Are there any political figures or political powers who are in power, for example, mayors of some big cities, who could possibly support the opposition's demands?
No, there is not, because he controlled Serbia 100% before these elections. Every mayor was his mayor. There is no mayor who is not in his party, no single one. So you have, when we speak about that, you have, for example, different situations in Ukraine. Mayor of Kiev or president, they are not for the same party, if I understand, if I recall correctly.
Yes, they are competing at the moment.
They are not from the same party. In Serbia, that is not the case. Everyone is from the same party. And opposition parties have organized all the time some kind of protests, and all the time, and every time they don't succeed. Every time they lose support because it's too long. It's days and days, months and months, and nothing happened. And that will happen this time too. Because opposition in Serbia make another mistake. They want the same. They try with the same message what Vučić sent to beat the Vučić. They are not alternative to Vučić. They are competition, if you understand me. So they never said, for example, I am the only one, me and maybe 10 more of us, who speak about needing for Serbia to become a member of NATO. Nobody else. From this opposition that you see on the street, they have the same position like Vučić. We don't want to go to NATO, we want to be neutral. It's ridiculous.
So, from your point of view,
this opposition don't have different approach for Kosovo, for example. Or most of them are not for sanctioned Russia. Most of this opposition that you see on streets are not for sanctioned Russia. If you see that situation, if you have that kind of situation, why will West help that opposition? Everything what they have with Vučić, who is on power.
If I may, you said in the beginning that Vučić behaves like Putin, but that creates a situation when Vučić is also thought as Putin in the beginning. I can remember the phrase, for example, which was common spread in Russian propaganda, state propaganda in the 2008, for example, that the biggest liberal in Russia is actually the government, Putin's government. Because all anti-Putin protests before 2014, 2015, they were more pro-imperial and pro-left than Putin himself was. And that creates a situation when West will accept Vučić because he's known to them, and the opposition is not acceptable due to their political views, as far as I understood your words.
Opposition in Serbia are too weak, too fragmented. You have 20, 30 movements or parties who are very, very weak, and they make some kind of coalition, but that is not enough, and there is no strength, and there is no sincere pro-Western approach if you want to see and speak with West. You know, that's the problem. That's the biggest problem. It's not the same situation. I don't say that it's the same situation like in Russia.
No, it's just my thoughts when you are describing the opposition and the opposition efforts. I'm just remembering the protests in Russia in 2011, for example, or in 2012, when the opposition was not strong enough to overthrow the Kremlin government, and the thoughts which were spread at that moment due to left character and pro-imperial character of some part of the Russian opposition 10 years ago. Surely everything changed drastically.
This opposition is not so the radical. The biggest radical in Serbia is Vučić, and he is in love with Putin. He's not in love with Russia. He is in love with Putin and his ruling government system of government. That's the wish for Vučić, and until now he succeed to do that. And the most what opposition don't understand in Serbia, West have one goal in Western Balkan: agreement between Serbia and Kosovo, between Belgrade and Pristina. That's the most important thing for West. Why? Because they try, and I think that in my opinion that they are right. For example, Washington is right because that won't. If we have agreement between Serbia and Kosovo, it will stop. It will finish everything. Sorry. It will finish everything what happened since 1990 until now on Western Balkan. It will stop wars, it will stop tensions, it will stop nationalism, and we all together, all six of us, some think five, some think six of us, jointly with Moldova, Georgia, and Ukraine especially, can become a members of EU in 2030, and that's the goal of the West. They think that with Vučić they will do that faster, and he lied to them for 10 years. But now West don't have so many tolerance to Vučić. We have a big economic problems. Why? Because West want that economic problems for us, for him, to make him weaker and to push him to the implement of that agreement. And it's successful, I tell you. Now, every day you have something now implemented from that agreement, and he will finish that. He will finish that. What's the problem? What opposition don't understand? People now don't see that he do that, and that our people, our public see that they will be against him because he lied for them for 10 years, and he will. And in that situation, he will pay the price. But now he can't pay the price, you know,
because he made elections which made him more strong.
Not only that, he lied in elections. He don't put people. Yesterday, I told you this situation. 2 years ago. It's almost, we have war because of license plates. Now, everything goes smoothly. Everything goes smoothly. Why? 80% of people, of public in Serbia, don't know that happened on Kosovo. They don't know. They will know for 2 or 3 weeks until now, but in that situation it will be, we say in Serbia, water under the bridge. It's past. It's happened. He will speak about other things and not about that.
Maybe
that's
finish.
The reason why I told you that's the mistake of opposition.
Maybe finish with the last question, the most complicated one, I'm afraid. How do you see the development of the situation? Will protests go on? Or will somehow the political situation will stabilize and Vučić will stand his ground firmly and make another government? How do you think it will develop in the nearest weeks?
Opposition with these protests they can make a result with that. They cannot make a result with that. It will never happen that he go back. But they have one more step or thing to do. And I think that will be successful if they listen more experience and more political experienced people like me. Until now, they don't listen. Nothing.
And what result it can be?
They can say these elections are fraud, like they are fraud, and everybody knows that is not regular elections. OECD will make a final report in January, in the first week of January, after these holidays, and you will see in that final report of OECD that elections are not regular, are not democratic in Serbia, last elections. And they can do next thing, not to take the seats in parliaments, Belgrade or Republic, both. Not to take their papers for that and said, and in that situation, if you understand me, what to do, not to become MPs. We don't want to take and not sign that.
Well, it's a very strong move, which will require
it's a very strong
political
move,
will from them.
Yes, but that's the move that can make institutional problem. So sorry. Institutional problem to Vučić. And he is a lawyer. And if you recall, in 2020 he had a boycott of opposition, and he don't. And after 1 year we have new elections in 2022, early 22. When start in the middle of campaign, it start the war, aggression of Russia to Ukraine, start the war on Ukraine. In the middle of our campaign, and now he will be in the same situation, institutional crisis, and West in that situation must react. In that situation, West must react, and I think that very fast in next year, even in next year in 2020 and 24. Because he is now weaker than in 2021, we may have a new elections, but with new rules, with democratic rules. That's the only card for opposition.
Thank you, Dragan. Thank you for the analysis and the update on what's going on in Serbia and in Belgrade especially. Thank you. It was very, very interesting, and I hope to see you back here online or in Odessa if you decide to visit us. Thank you.
Whenever you call me. Thank you.
Thanks. That was the last briefing in Ukraine Media Center Odessa for today. We will continue working tomorrow and on Thursday. Stay with us.